So Conor, thanks very much for coming on. How have you been finding the last few months?
Yeah, good, Darren. I must say, I'm really enjoying it actually. Look, I've obviously a lot of free time, but I've kind of seen it more as an opportunity more than a challenge. So yeah, just really enjoying it so far. I suppose the last couple of days, all right, I just kind of maybe starting to get a little bit fed up, but for the last 8 or 9 weeks, I've really enjoyed it. I must say, I've just enjoyed the free time and just the mental side of things. I got a break from that, which is good. So yeah, can't complain now so far.
Yeah, it's a bit of a change nearly from the inter-county setup that most weeks, even earlier in the year, that you'd be training most nights a week, and now suddenly that's been taken away from you.
Yeah, it's a massive change, but like I said, I've adapted to it really well. I find like I suppose I've been on the go with the senior team now for 10 years. This is my 10th season, and it was kind of my first proper break. So
Mm.
I welcomed it with open arms. If I'm being honest, now listen, I'm like every player. I suppose you want to be playing the matches, and I suppose it's the Munster final would have been playing in the next couple of weeks, so that's will
Mm.
be in the ticket championship now. Whether we'll be there or not is another thing, but it's that time of year that every player loves to be playing ball. But I must say I've just enjoyed the break from the whole. I've just kind of switched off now. We
Yeah.
finished training with the last couple of weeks, and that's nice as well. And I've just had free time to do nothing really, which is I suppose. Um, which is what we'd have wanted to be doing like at some stage throughout the season, but we just never really get the break. So it's nice to have that break from it all, really.
So we'll move on to Tipperary. Yourself, on the 21s, you won the Munster Championship in 2010, and the Miners followed that up the next year, winning an All Ireland. I suppose it was kind of a good period for Tipperary underage football.
It was, yeah, and like it's only kind of when you look back now, you realise that how good a period it was. I suppose we probably didn't think too much of it at the time because we were just stuck in the middle of training or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, like winning that Munster title below Tralee was big for that group of players, but it was also big for football within the county because we hadn't won it before, and we were kind of starved of, I suppose, success and silverware at that time. And then I suppose the following year, then we had the minors winning the All Ireland. And sure, look, everyone knows how big that is. You know, whatever age group or whatever county wins an All Ireland success, it brings fantastic buzz around the county, and it gave a lift to, I suppose, the code within the county, and you probably found a lot more players
Yeah.
or maybe choosing that code the following years. So it was definitely a good period for us. Now we've kind of been starved again over the last number of years, but definitely that period was good in underage football, and of course it kind of transferred then on to the senior team and in the years after that. So yeah, it was a good period for sure.
Yeah, do you think you nearly need that bit of underage success? As you say, Tipperary is probably known best for hurling, and I'm sure a lot of good footballers have chosen hurling rather than football.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, we're obviously we're so strong at hurling that when you're coming up and you're 16 and you're 17, I suppose players kind of it's more appealing to go for the hurling side of things because you probably have a better chance of success. And we probably have lost a few players over the years because of that. And look, you can't blame them either because you can see
Okay.
their point of view, and if they're good enough to make the hurling, then fair play to them. But yeah, like I think underage success, I think you do need it because what we found in the senior team is you've those younger players coming in, and all of a sudden they have great confidence about them because they have beaten, we'll say, Cork or Kerry and Munster, and they have tasted success. And that kind of that reflects then on the whole panel. It rubs off on the rest of the lads, and so I definitely think underage success definitely can help a senior team to some degree. Yeah, for sure.
And especially in Munster, how hard is it for a county like yourselves? You're up against the sort of superpowers against Kerry, Cork. They've nearly, well, especially Kerry nowadays, they have a conveyor belt of talent running through every single year.
Yeah, look, it's really hard. I mean, when I came on the senior team first, it was carrying the first round of the championship for the first 4 or 5 seasons,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking, Jesus, like is this going to be? And we shipped a couple of hidings to them back then, but look, it's things change. Like I mean, the look of the draw is massive. I mean, if like we got to our first Munster final in 2016, obviously with a great win over Cork in the semi-final. But then the following year we were seeded, you know. So I mean, if you can try and get to a provincial final at all, whether you win it or even lose it, then it does make your run, or it does make your chances of maybe getting to the last 12 or the quarter final that bit easier. So, you know, yes, it is tough. It is tough playing against those top teams, but I mean, like, it's great. I mean, you're getting challenged every year and you're playing against the best. And look, we haven't been beaten, Kerry, but it's still, those are the teams you want to play, and like, you know, you test yourself against the best. So like, it's good in a way, you know. But like I said, it only takes one win, like us in 2016, and you get to provincial final, and like we saw, then anything can happen, you know.
Yeah, we'll move on to 2016 in just a minute, but would you actually really like the championship to be restructured? I've been asking nearly a few people about that. Maybe keep the provincials March, April, and then sort of restructure that you're playing teams of a similar level.
Yeah, I do. I agree with it to a certain degree. I think, like, first of all, I'd be all for keeping the provincials. I just love Munster Championship football, whatever it is about it. So I'd be all for keeping the provincial side of things. But yeah, I do think, just for overall, I suppose, fairness and competitiveness for the whole country, I think a 2-tier is the way to go, because I just think there's too many one-sided games throughout the country, and like, I think once the football season starts, you know, a lot of the time you're just waiting for the latter end of it to get the good games. And like, I can see from a spectator's point of view and a player's point of view, and yes, you want to be playing the top teams, but like, if you've no real actual chance of beating them, like, you know, is there much point? So I definitely think a 2-tier system would be beneficial, because at least then everyone has a chance of winning, you know. And I think that's the most important thing when you're players, that you actually have a genuine chance of winning something. And yeah, like, look, I think we should try it, definitely. Like, I was really looking forward to this year. I definitely think it should be trialed, and like, worst case scenario, we go back to the old format, you know. So I don't think there's any harm in trying it anyway there. Yeah.
Yeah, so as you said, 2016 is kind of the big year. You bet Cork for the first time. I don't know how many years, it was a good while anyways, and then you reached the Munster final against Kerry. How big was that win against Cork for sort of your confidence? Because as I said there, you hadn't done it in so many years.
Asher was massive, like, and we hadn't beaten Cork in championship for a long time, even though we came quite close a couple of years previous. But just to finally beat one of the top two in Munster was massive. Yeah, it was massive for everyone, not just that group of players, but massive for the county. And it was kind of a monkey off the back per se. But yeah, we didn't perform well then in that Munster final, which was also disappointing. We started well, but we didn't perform well throughout the 70 minutes, which was disappointing. But listen, it was great to play in the Munster final. It was my only one. Hopefully it won't be my last, but it was a fantastic occasion, blowing Killarney. And yeah, we just didn't perform to our utmost, which was disappointing. But listen, we regrouped pretty quickly, actually. We were out against Derry in a couple of weeks after that, so we hadn't too much time to kind of wallow or, you know, feel sorry for ourselves. So we got back on the horse, and, you know, we got a great victory that day, which was history now. But it was a fantastic win for us that got us into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, even, well, back then, I think they've changed it now, but if you reach the provincial final, you get into that round 4 in the last 12, and you're suddenly only one game away from the quarterfinals. So breaking that sort of dominance of Cork and Kerry was huge to get into the quarterfinals then.
It was, and like I said there a while ago, like, getting to the provincial final is massive, because, like you said, you're only one game away from what's now the Super 8 and what was then the quarterfinals. So, like, that would be a target of ours every year, is to try and get to a provincial final, and we take it from there, because it just makes the road down the line a little bit more easier. But yeah, look, obviously since then, like, we've kind of stagnated a small bit. We haven't driven on as much as we'd like to, but hopefully we'll try and rectify that now, maybe if we get a chance this year or next year. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, so you bet Derry then, I think it was up in Cavan, you bet them by a point, and then you move on to the quarter final against Galway. What was your sort of mindset going into that? Galway just hammered Roscommon in the kind of final replay, I think.
Yeah, like, I suppose in a way, we were just kind of. I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but in a way, we were kind of just happy to be there, and we said whatever team we get, we'll take them on and see what happens. But I suppose if there was a province you would have hoped to have gotten that year in the quarter final, it would have been Connacht.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, we just, to be fair, we did go up there and we knew we could win it. It wasn't just a case of turn up, but we had our homework done on them, like, and we studied them a lot, and like the Derry game just gave us so much confidence because we were down and it looked like we'd had lost, but we hung in there and we got over the line. So that gave us great confidence going into the game. And it was only like 6 or 7 days later. So again, we hadn't too much time to celebrate or too much time to, celebrate the win. We just got back down to business and studied Galway and just approached the game with a good mindset. And we started the game really well, which is positive. And to be honest, we never looked like losing it. We seemed in control for the majority of the game. And like what used to happen to us previously is that we go ahead of a team and we take the foot off the gas and we might end up losing the game. But we never got that sense that day above in Croke Park that when we got ahead of Galway, we just, with our foot in their neck, and we kept squeezing and we saw the game out well and got to a semi-final for the first time in I don't know how long, but it was a fantastic feeling for sure that day.
Yeah, it was probably even the way he played. It was just sort of open, attacking football, and it was great to watch. It was probably the moment of the championship that year.
Yeah, that's the way we played for the whole year. That's the way we started off with the win over Cork, and we tried to play that way against Kerry. It just didn't happen for us, and we played that way against Derry, and the same against Galway. Now, when you play that way, it's great going forward, but you do tend to leave yourself that little bit open at the back, and we did concede goals. But it was just the case we actually ended up scoring just more than our opposition in those 3 or 4 games. So it worked for us that year, but you do leave yourself open at the back a little bit, and against the top teams, they do kind of punish you that bit more. So I suppose, we needed to tweak that going forward. But yeah, you're dead right. The way we played was really enjoyable. Like from a forwards point of view, it was just the way you want to play every game. It was kind of 15 or 15, and it was just get the ball into the forwards as quick as possible and see can we outscore the opposition. And like I said, it worked for us to a certain degree that year, but it definitely needs tweaking because you do end up conceding goals at the other end, which is a disappointing thing.
Yeah, it's kind of getting that balance probably. Like players want to play attacking football, and if you just have 50 men behind the ball the whole time, players probably won't put the same effort in.
Yeah, and let's be honest, that style of football, it's boring. It's not enjoyable to play, especially as a forward. And I've been involved in matches and teams where we have taken that style. Now listen, every game takes on a life of its own, and you play horses for courses. So sometimes you have to do that, but it's definitely not the way we were brought up to play the game, and it's definitely not the way the game was intended to be played. So I think we're seeing it a little. That's going now again. I think teams are just going out to play ball and try and get the ball into their forwards as quickly as possible via the foot. And I just like to see more of that more often, because it's definitely the way the game is meant to be played. And from a forwards point of view, it's the way we like the game to be played. So yeah, hopefully that can continue.
Before we actually move on to the Mayo game, one rule brought in this year was the advanced mark, and even about that sort of defensive style. Is it a rule that you like?
Yeah, it is to a certain degree. I think, I think the proposed mark originally, the original one was probably the best one, where it was just you had to receive it inside the 13. I think that was the way forward. I think the one outside the 13 is just. I think teams you can really train for that now and just try and get like a little 10, 15-yard poke kick inside the 45 and get your free. I wouldn't be a fan of that. I think it slows it down too much. But I think the long ball in beyond the 13 and you're rewarding a forward for making a good run and a good kick pass and a good catch. Yeah, I'm all for that. But definitely not the way it is now. I don't like the way it is now. But the original rule was definitely one that I would have enjoyed in a big time. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, you actually said it to Colin Parkinson, you don't mind rewarding someone who catches a high ball over their head, again, a tightly marked against a defender that deserves a reward.
Exactly, yeah. it's probably a skill that maybe we don't see enough of in today's game is the high fielding. And like if you have a lad inside who can just outfield a cornerback or a fullback with a big long kick in, like it should be rewarded. The only thing I would say on that then though is there like the inside forward might be inclined to just take the mark more often than not and not kind of go for the goal. And you could see a possible reduction in goal opportunities or that bit of excitement towards the game where he knows he's got a guaranteed point here. Okay, I'll take the mark. Or do you take on the man and just forget about the mark and go for goal? So, look, we're going to have to wait and see again because that was scheduled for this year. So we just have to wait and see, I suppose.
Yeah, so going back then to the Mayo game in the semi-final, if you were probably in bonus territory against Galway, it was double or triple against Mayo. It was sort of uncharted territory. What was the build-up like to that one?
Yeah, it was really exciting. Like it was probably we had a couple of weeks in the build-up, so you got time to kind of enjoy it to a certain degree and just experience it for what it was. It was the first we got to the last four of the championship. Like it was unbelievable, and we just wanted to kind of let it sink in. But at the same time, we knew we had a job to do, so we didn't want to kind of like enjoy it too much, if you like. So yeah, listen, like the confidence was good because obviously we played really well in the quarterfinal, but we also knew that like this team, they were class. Like I know they hadn't got over the line, but they were the second best team in the country for the previous 3 or 4 years or whatever, and they had class players all over the field. So we knew we would have had our work cut out. But I suppose again at the time, if there was any team you wanted to play in the semi-final, it probably would have been Mayo, and not maybe Dublin or Kerry. So we felt like we had a chance. Now the chance was small, but that's all you need in those games is a small chance. But listen, we struggled for periods, but then we got back into it straight away after the second half, and we brought it back to 2 and 3 points. And there was only about 4 points with a few minutes to go on, and then they got a fluky goal, and that was it. And it was game, set, and match then. But they definitely had our homework done on us that day as well. Like we got no sniff at goal. That supply ball into the full forward line was kind of we weren't getting as much as what we were getting in previous games, so they did their homework well there, and yeah, they did a good job on us that day, and they got themselves into the final. Look, semis are there to be won. They might be pretty, but they were a good side for sure. But it was a fantastic experience. Like I think there was over 60,000 there that day, and it was just an incredible game to be part of. And look, we gave them a good game, but they just had the edge on us there for the finish. Yeah.
It's probably maybe their experience. They're thinking about winning the All-Ireland, and you're probably just thinking we're just taking this game by game, and if we get to an All-Ireland final, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the mindset going into the game was probably a lot different from both teams. They were probably saying, yeah, we've been here now the last 3 or 4 years, just get the job done, get over the line, and get back to another final. And I wouldn't say, like, I'd say they gave us the respect we deserved, because we definitely felt it on the day that they gave us the respect we deserved. But for them, it was probably more routine than us. We were probably just there, and we were probably taking the experience as it came, and we were trying to play as best we can. And we did. We played well, but they just, like I said, they just had that more in the tank for the last 10 minutes, and they brought on a couple of subs who contributed really well as well. And we struggled from that point of view. We didn't have the bench necessarily to come on and make the difference that we wanted. So it was probably that and the experience that told on the day, yeah.
And what was the support like actually around that semi-final? Because you probably had people going to the game that were probably predominantly hurling fans, and now sort of supporting football.
Yeah, probably, and that's fine too. At the end of the day, they're still tip people, so the more the merrier. Like, but look, we wouldn't have a big fan base anyway regularly, so there was definitely thousands of people there that probably wouldn't go to many matches, and that's fine too. Like it was a big game in Croke Park against a big team, so we were only delighted to see a massive blue and gold supporter, and it was fantastic. Like even after the game, like you lost the game, but you kind of went down with your head held high in a way, and meeting them all across the road in the Croke Park Hotel. It was just a great day, like, and a fantastic experience overall.
Yeah, and have you been disappointed sort of the last 3-4 years that you haven't built on that, reaching the last 4, maybe getting to a few more Munster finals and sort of quarterfinals?
Yeah, big time. Like 2017 was actually after 16, like, you know, that was the big year to build on, and it was actually
Mm.
decent. We won Division 3, we got to
Yeah.
Division 2, and that was a good start for us. We got a bit of silverware. And then we lost to Cork in a Munster semi-final again by a point, a last-minute goal. Now, it was a poor performance by us.
Yeah.
And they got a last gasp goal, which kind of snuck it for them. But like, we had a skeleton of a team that year as well. So if we had gotten to the Munster final last year, you know, it would have been another stepping stone, second Munster final in 2 years. But it just didn't happen. It was probably for the better, because we probably weren't as good that year. We struggled with injuries, and you know, God only knows what could have happened to us in a Munster final that year. But yeah, definitely disappointed that we didn't back up that year's performance over the next couple of years. It's not easy, but we just struggled. We lost a couple of players, couple of injuries. Look, like every team there, you know, I'm not using those as excuses, but yeah, it's disappointing that we didn't build on it for sure. Yeah, but listen, we can only hope that we can do that maybe whenever we get a chance again this year or next year, you know.
Yeah, even a few years ago, I think you were close to even playing Division One. I think you just missed out maybe on the last day or two. Like, what's the aim? Is it to play at least Division Two and be challenging for last eight every year?
Yeah, I think so. Just going back to that, there we were playing Cavan above in Breffni Park, and we lost the game by a point again. And if we'd won that, we were gone up to Division One. And at the time, we were kind of like, do we want to go to Division One? And all the players were like, yeah, of course. You go to Division One. If you have a chance to go there, you take it, and you deal with it then the following year. But I suppose hindsight is a great thing. I mean, you know, I could safely say we would have taken hidings that year if we had gone up. You know, so. Yeah, I would have loved to play in Division 1, to say I played there and played against the top teams, but I suppose in a way it's probably a good thing that we didn't go up that year, because God only knows what that would have done for morale, you know. And but yeah, getting back to your question, I would say it's getting to Division 2. That would be, we're probably a Division 2 team, or we'd like to think we are, somewhere in that division anyway, and just try and get back to the provincial final and take it from there. Those are the targets every year, is definitely to get to a provincial final. But we found that harder the last couple of years than we've expected, you know. So look, we take it step by step. But again, a provincial final is always a target for definite, yeah.
Yeah, on a personal note, then you got selected in the international rules squad against Australia in 2017. How did that come about, and how did you find out?
I suppose, look, it probably came off the back of our good 2016 campaign. I was nominated for an All-Star that year as well, so that definitely helped. And, yeah, I just got a phone call from Darragh O'Shea in, I think it was the summer of 2017, and it just said we're hosting, you know, a couple of trial matches above in Dublin there for the international rules, and we'd like you to become a part of it. So that's where it kicked off, and we trained every Friday evening, stayed above Friday night and trained Saturday mornings for, I'd say, always a good 7 or 8 weeks on the trot anyway. And Joe Kernan was the manager at the time, and I just remember one morning we were down at breakfast Saturday morning, and he just said, listen, you've made the squad, you know, you're going to Australia. And like, I was over the moon, to be honest with you. Like, it was something I hadn't put too much thought into over the years, because I was just focusing on Tip, but it was definitely something in the back of my mind. I'd love to have made an international route squad if I got the opportunity. And the minute I got the phone call from Darragh, like, I just said, yeah, I'm making this, you know. There was no two ways about it. So yeah, when I got the news, I was just thrilled, you know, and it was a fantastic experience, I must say.
Yeah, on that, like flying over to Australia, what was the whole experience like, and I suppose the differences between Gaelic football and AFL sort of combining together?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. Like, even those trial matches on the Fridays and Saturday mornings, like, the first few weeks were tough to get your head around it. The rules in particular, like, sometimes you're better off not catching the actual ball, because if you catch it, you can get tackled. So they were kind of instilling us to maybe sometimes not catch it and play it to the feet so you can't get tackled. So that was hard to try and get your head around that. But like, look, it was a challenge, and it was a challenge we all relished, because, you know, you were going over to Australia and you were playing professional athletes, and that year in particular they had the best of the best of AFL players. So we knew we were going to get a serious challenge, and like, they were unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't get over how quick they were to get the ball. Like, they had the ball in hand, and and they were getting it away so quickly over your shoulder, between your legs, around your body, before you had a chance to get a tackle on them. And like, look, we gave them a good game in both tests, but like they were far superior over the two games. And I think they're just athleticism and they're just professionalism told in the end. But look, it was a fantastic. Look, I got to play with some of the best players in Ireland, and I got to play against some of the best athletes in Australia. So I can't complain. And we 2.5 weeks there in a fantastic country with an unbelievable climate, and you just got to make friends there from other counties. I'm still in contact with a few of them today. So if nothing else, that was probably one of the best parts of it, for sure.
Would it be something you'd like to see return in the next few years again?
I would, yeah, definitely. Like, I was disappointed. Like, obviously, we're disappointed with this year as a whole, but it was scheduled to come back this year, I think, and it was supposed to be held in Dublin, as far as I know. And that would have been unbelievable. Like, look, it's not a trip to Australia, but you get to represent your country again if you made the squad. So, yeah, I was disappointed to see it scrapped like our own championship. But listen, the fact that it was scheduled to come back this year might indicate that they're thinking about it again long term. So hopefully next year it might get back up and running again, and we get a chance to take on the Aussies again, because I enjoyed it anyway. So, and I'd say the rest of the players did as well.
Yeah, so we'll move on. I asked you to select a team of the best 15 players you played with. Now, I'm sure it was a hard one because you played with so many through Tipperary and again the international rules. Was it hard, I suppose?
It was a hard to call, but when you look at the team, I think it speaks for itself. There's some unbelievable players there, and I've left out one or two. I even had to make a late substitution there myself. I forgot about someone, but it was hard and it wasn't, because, like I said, it speaks for itself. But there's definitely a few that missed out, and a couple of lads who might be too happy. But sure, look, what can you do? Someone has to lose out.
That's it. So we're starting goals. If you want to name it out, maybe.
Yeah, Evan Comfort is in goal. Definitely the best keeper I've played with anyway. And tip goalie before him, Paul Cracker Fitz, was unbelievable as well, and played with Niall Morgan, obviously in Australia. But I'm giving the nod to Evan because he's top class, to be fair. Unbelievable kick out, great shot stopper. So yeah.
Yeah, and then the full back line.
Full back line, I went for Kieran McDonald from Tip as well. Definitely the best defender I'd say we've produced over the years. His career was cut short because he had hip problems, but one of the best man markers in the game, in my opinion. We went for Alan Campbell then, a fullback. He's our current fullback at the minute. Again, one of the best in the business, in my opinion. He gets the job of marking the best player on the opposition team the whole time. So yeah, he has to be there for me. And then I went for Peter Crowley, I think, in the other corner of Kerry. I played with Peter in Sigerson with UCC in 2013, and he was also in Australia with me. Again, another tough defender, good man marker, and a good lad as well. So that's my full back line. So you'll be doing well to get past those three lads.
Yeah, I mean, who would be like the toughest opponent you come up against? Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of man marking jobs done on you.
Like I've marked a lot of good players. Like I've marked Mark O'Shea, who's unbelievable. Philly McMahon, I marked him in 2010, and Michael Fitzsimons on the same day actually, and the two of them have turned out to be top class defenders. So, but like those were three of the best of the opposition. But like I was marking our own Kieran in training week in, week out, like for years, and Alan the same, and they're as good as you'll get. So, I was well primed for those tough defenders going into the matches. So yeah, they'd be a few of the toughest, definitely.
And then crucial line in the field, the half back line. Who have you got there?
Who have I got there? I'm just making sure I have it here. Yeah, Bill Maher, our own Bill Maher from Tip. Like, in my opinion, one of the best wing backs in the game on his day. Like, he's small in stature, but he's got pace. He's tough. He's got a savage engine, and he can play a ball as well. So he had to be there for me. He's an unbelievable man to carry a ball out of defence for our team. He's just class. I went for our own Robbie Kiley at 6 as well. Just an unbelievable man. He's an absolute beast to the 6, even though he's quite small in stature, but he's a stocky guy. and just he's good going forward as well. But he's got a good head in his shoulder, so he's at 6. And I went for I put in Brian Fox then, number 7 from Tip also. So it's an all-Tip half-back line. Foxy's just been an unbelievable player for Tipperary. He was there when I came in, and he's still there. He shows the desire that he had then, as he does now. So an unbelievable player, some engine, incredible work rate. So he had to be there for me. So again, yeah, it's a good half-back line as well.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the midfield then.
Yeah, I went for Peter Atchison and Gary Brennan at middle of the field. I started my inter-county career with Peter. He's one of my best friends, and we played a lot of ball together underage. Definitely one of the best footballers I've ever seen, not just in Tipperary, but ever. The man never knew when he was bet, like, unbelievable engine, savage work rate, and he was just an animal. He was box to box, like, I don't know how he kept doing it. And a great servant for Tip. And I went for Gary Brennan then. So I was in Australia with Gary, like, and I played against him so many times with Clare. And in my opinion, he's just one of the best midfielders in the business at the minute, and has been for the last number of years. He can do it all. He can fetch. He can kick off 4 feet. He can score. He can work hard. So, yeah, that's a pretty good midfield partnership for me there.
Yeah, even the 2 lads probably don't get the credit they deserve, because maybe due to media coverage, television, and that covering Division 1 games, that actually people don't get to see what's down nearly Division 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think so. And like in 2016, the 2 of those were nominated for All-Stars at midfield, you know, and like I don't think anyone would begrudge either of them if they got one. But yeah, you're right. Like, I think the further you are down the pecking order, the less exposure you get. Like, even if you look at Limerick at the time with John Galvin middle of the field, like, he was one of the best midfielders of the game, and you know, probably didn't get the recognition he deserved. So yeah, it's definitely a factor, all right.
Yeah, and then the half-forward line.
Yeah, like, this half-forward line speaks for itself. I went Shane Walsh at 10 from Galway, Aidan O'Shea, Mayo 11, and Paul Ganey at 12 for Kerry. Just 3 unbelievable players in their own right. I think Shane Walsh was the player of the league this year so far, and like, I played against him a few times, but I played with him in Australia. Like, the man can do anything with a football. It's scary enough. He doesn't know which leg is his bad leg either. Aidan O'Shea, yeah, played with him in Australia as well. Just a man mountain. Like, he gets through an unmerciful amount of work, and even with Mayo, like, there's so much stuff goes through him. Probably doesn't get the recognition at times he deserves either, because he's just involved in everything for Mayo, and he's a savage work rate. So he gets in there. And Ganey at 12, even though he's an inside forward, but I stuck him in there. I played 1 year Sigerson with him, even though he was injured for most of it, and I played him in Australia. Just a top player, great inside forward, and a good lad as well. So yeah, that's a pretty decent half forward line as I'm looking at it there.
And the full forward line isn't too bad either.
No, it's not too bad either when you look at it. I went for Michael Quinlivan from Tip, 13, Michael Murphy, Donegal at 14, and Conor McManus, Monaghan at 15. So yeah, I've obviously played at Michael for a long time now. He's a top player on his day, just naturally gifted footballer. He just has it all, really. He's got pace, power, skill, and yeah, he's a top player in my opinion. Michael Murphy is probably one of the best full forwards of our generation, and he was back to his best form this year. Like, he's just a born leader for that Donegal team, and he's just a man mountain as well. So played with him in Australia, and same with Conor, played with him over in Australia. He's just one of the best corner forwards in my opinion of our generation as well. You know, he's playing with Monaghan there, and if he was playing with any other county, you know, he might have a couple of All-Ireland medals in his back pocket, but he's a couple of Munster titles and a couple of All-Stars, so I don't think he can complain too much. But yeah, that's an unbelievable full forward line, and I reckon they'd make anyone's team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, do you think you'd fit yourself in anywhere, replace anyone on that team?
If I had to get rid of one, I'd get rid of Quinlivan.
Yeah.
There's only room for one of us in there. But no, I don't think so. I'm happy enough with that now. I don't think I'd fit in there anywhere. I think the lads I have there now are pretty good, you know.
Yes, we'll end it with just a few quick fire ones. Your favourite match that you played in?
Sure, look, it probably has to be probably has to be Galway 2016, or else the Munster 21 final. But Galway was just an unbelievable atmosphere, great crack, great day. We played some great football and we won it convincingly in the end when very few people gave us a chance. So I'd say, considering how big a game it was, that was probably the best one, I'd say, yeah.
What would have been your favourite score? Is there a score that stands out?
Favourite score? I kicked the winner against Derry to get us to the quarter final that year. If I didn't kick that one, God only knows what wouldn't have happened, obviously. So that was massive. That's probably up there. I kicked the equaliser and I kicked the winner that day. So those two scores will stay with me forever. And obviously I got a couple of goals then in the quarter final against Galway, which were quite big. I suppose even the second one was just kind of, when that went in, you just kind of knew the job was done. So yeah, those scores kind of stand out to me really that year.
Who would have been the best player you played with?
Wait. Take your pick from that team, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it to Michael Murphy. I just think all around he has it all. The man can do everything. Like, he midfield, centre forward, full forward, catch kick-outs, kick off both feet, scores free, scores goals. He just has it all for me. And he's had it all since he was like 16, 17. We played against Donegal in All-Ireland quarter-final under 21 in 2010. And Kieran MacDonald was marking him, and they would have been two unbelievable players. And even that day, he was so good. He was definitely one of the best underage players I've ever played against, and he's definitely one of the best players that I've ever seen. And
Yeah, it's even that you nearly want him everywhere on the field. He even ends up in the full back line, catching nearly 45s. It's just, he's one of those players that can play nearly anywhere.
Yeah, you could do with 2 or 3 Michael Murphys, and if you did, you wouldn't be doing too bad.
Yeah, and we'll end the last question with the best manager you've played under.
Best manager I played under. Yeah, sure. Look, I'm probably going to have to give it to Liam Kearns. He was there for 4 odd years, and he just brought football into county on so much. And he was definitely the most professional manager I've ever come across. The homework he did on the opposition, everything had to be perfect. When he was training, it was all football and nothing else, and it was a strictly professional relationship. But just the work he put in on the field and outside of it, more so with video analysis and going to other games, and just preparation on the opposition was big for him. So I would say definitely the most professional manager I was ever involved with, to date anyway. So Liam Kearns gets the nod.
Yeah, well, thanks, Conor, for coming on.
No problem, Dara. Thanks very much for having me. It was good old crack.
And keep an eye on the channel. More videos coming soon.